So up next is Nicole Graby. She's 29 years old and lives in Lancaster, Pennsylvania with her grandfather and their trusty guard dog, Buffy. She's working towards a Master of Social Work at Millersville University, which she hopes will help her to be a voice for the oppressed. Although Nick suffers from mental illness, she does not let it define her. She may have OCD, but she also has blue eyes, a sense of humor, and really nice feet. Or so she tells me. Nicole is going to read her essay, Bright Before Me.
My sister wrote that bio, and I do have nice feet. Thanks to genetics, I was born anxious. I was a terribly shy kid. I threw up on the first day of first grade and hid under the table when people sang to me on my birthday. I experienced my first symptoms of OCD in fourth grade when I became terrified of tick-borne illnesses and worried that my family was going to die. I would reassure myself, but then thought that perhaps I had jinxed it, so I carried a piece of mulch around so I could easily knock on wood with no one noticing. Even then, I knew to hide it. In middle school and high school, my anxiety caused me to vomit before every event, no matter how trivial: tests, basketball games, and tennis lessons. The summer before college, I was lying in bed at the beach and had my first panic attack. I thought I was dying but didn't wake my parents. Instead, every few minutes, I looked in the mirror to check if my lips were blue. That was also the day that my hair started to fall out in large clumps. I spent the rest of the summer convinced I was terminally ill from a myriad of diseases and afraid to leave the house. Needless to say, my first week of college at American University was difficult. Thankfully, my mom came to get me that first weekend, and we went right to my family doctor. I thought I could feel a brain tumor. Turns out it was my skull. I also thought I had a tremor and that I could see melanoma growing before my very eyes. After telling the doctor all of my physical symptoms, she put me on Paxil. About a week later, I realized I could brush my hair again, and from then on, I loved college and met many people much weirder than myself. They're sitting right there. A month before I was supposed to start my dream grad school program at GW, I was broke and felt homesick, so I moved back to PA. A snap decision, and one that I used to regret. I lacked a sense of purpose and was deeply afraid of being LGBT. I started to experience intrusive thoughts, depression, and suicidal ideation. I began to throw up on purpose, not to lose weight, but because it alleviated my overwhelming anxiety. It was a slippery slope. Since then, I've had a number of diagnoses come and go, and I've seen countless psychiatrists and therapists, countless only because I'm too lazy to count them. At this point, I don't care so much what the label is or if I even have one at all. Though I understand why it's necessary, I find the whole process to be extremely limiting. I have been in the hospital 7 times and completed a partial program 3 times, and I stopped keeping track of all the different meds I've tried after it reached 25 or so. So that's the tough stuff, but really, if you look hard enough, you can find humor in my story. There was a time when I was blow drying my hair and saw white stuff attached to the strands. Being like that superhero cartoon you may have seen on Facebook, anxiety girl able to jump to the worst conclusion in a single bound, and having WebMD memorized, I immediately assumed I had gotten the beginnings of lice from one of the kids I was working with at the time. So I promptly freaked out, called in sick, did the shampoo, and washed everything. Cleaning was my first priority and took all day, so I didn't get to go to the doctor until the following day. Being the rational humans that you are, I'm sure you've realized now that I wasted my precious paid time off for dandruff, quite possibly the world's most dramatic overreaction. The doctor said he didn't know what to put on the walkout slip, anxiety or dry skin. Then there was the time when my therapist was sending me to the hospital. It took me probably 30 minutes to convince her I was capable of driving there myself, which felt very important to me. Sadly, my still new car made it approximately 20 feet. I broke down while still in the parking lot, and a different therapist had to push me back into a space. To quote the first CD I ever purchased, isn't it ironic? It was like 10,000 spoons when all I needed was a knife. That is just shit luck right there, and all you can do at that point is laugh at the absurdity of life. And hitchhike, which took all afternoon. Just kidding. And if you look hard enough, you can find blessings. I am lucky. I have always had access to insurance and providers. Too many people with mental illness end up homeless, on drugs, in prison, or worse yet, dead. Prisons are this nation's largest mental hospitals, and I feel free to share my experiences, which is a right not afforded to everyone because of the stigma still attached to mental health issues. This has to change. Also, I have an amazing support system. I am so fortunate to have loving family and friends. My sister is the better angel on my shoulder when I feel tempted to give up. My dog rescues me way more than we've ever rescued her, as I'm positive that one of the best antidotes to depression is coming home to a little furball jumping with joy. Thank you from every bit of my soul. I am so grateful and hopeful I will be able to pay it forward. I'm nearing 30, and as I reflect back on my 20s, clearly they didn't go as planned. I acquired debt, gained weight, lost friendships, missed opportunities, and worried my loved ones. Mental illness truly depleted my self-confidence, and I compare myself to my peers and feel behind in many ways. It does get me down occasionally, but most times I feel glad for my journey. Screw conformity. It hasn't been easy, and I know I will likely struggle at times in the future, but I wouldn't change much. If my experiences are helping me to be a more compassionate citizen of the earth, then it's worth it. And I'd like to share one of my favorite quotes. It's, "Be gentle with yourself. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should."